Hello everyone, welcome to LSA Academy, the official YouTube channel of the Law Students Association of Leeds City University. If this is your first time here with us, please be sure to subscribe and turn on your post notification. And if this is not your first time here with us, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking on law of torts, and we're going to begin with the definition of torts. Okay. The word tort has been defined differently by different writers, and we're going to evaluate some of them or examine some of them. According to Professor Sir John Salmond, tort is a civil wrong for which the remedy is a common law action for unliquidated damages, and which is not exclusively the breach of a contract or the breach of a trust or other merely unequitable obligation. According to Professor P.H. Winfield, tortious liability is the breach of a duty primarily fixed by law. This duty is towards persons generally, and its breach is redressable by an action for unliquidated damages. According to Professor Gilbert Cordinier, a tort is a civil wrong involving a breach of duty fixed by law, such duty being owed to persons generally, and its breach being redressable primarily by an action for damages. Basically, all the definitions above are all saying that a tort is a breach of civil duty imposed by law and owed towards all persons, the breach of which is usually redressed by an award of unliquidated damages, injunction, or other appropriate civil remedies. Yeah, so it's a breach of a civil duty imposed by law. The law imposes a duty to us towards other people in the society. And when we breach this duty, it's usually redressable by an award of unliquidated damages, injunction, or any other remedy as law would see fit. Now we're going to move on to the purpose of the law of torts. The purpose of the law of torts is to remedy injury or wrong by giving a person the legal right to sue in civil law for compensation and or other remedies. When a wrong is done and it's also a crime, both the society and the individual affected are wronged. The state, whose duty is to maintain law and order, may prosecute the wrongdoer in criminal law, and if found guilty, punish the wrongdoer according to law. However, where the wrong is done and the wrongdoer, is prosecuted under criminal law, appropriate compensation and remedy might not be given to the affected party, the individual who was also affected by the wrong done by the wrongdoer. The state prosecutes the person, yes, but the person is punished as a public policy to ensure security and peace in the society. But the affected party, the offense can be a crime and a tort. So that's where tort comes in now. Its main purpose is to give compensation to the affected individual, give him a legal right to sue in civil law so he can get some form of compensation or other legal remedies as the law sees fit. So law of torts enforces rights and liability and provides remedy in areas covered by the law of torts, which include the following: trespass to person, that is assault, battery, and false imprisonment; malicious prosecution; trespass to chattel, that is conversion and detinue; trespass to land; negligence; nuisance; the rule in Rylands versus Fletcher; liability for animals; vicarious liability; occupiers liability; defamation; deceit; passing off; and economic torts. As we go on, we're going to evaluate or examine all of this one by one, but for now let's just list them. Okay, now we're going to compare torts with some other laws. So torts compared with some other laws. Let's begin by comparing torts with a contract. Basically everything I wrote here, the major distinction between torts and contracts is that in torts the duties of the parties are being fixed by the law, but in contracts duties of the parties are being fixed by the parties themselves, because a contract is an agreement between two people or two parties that are binding on them. Therefore, when there is a breach it is a breach of the agreement or contract they both decided to go into. But where there is a breach of duty in tort, it is a breach of a duty that was imposed on a person by law. So do we get that? And here we have the case of Kelly versus Metropolitan Railway Co. In that case, the passenger sued the defendant railway company for personal injuries he suffered due to the negligence of the servants of the company while he was traveling on the railway. The court held that the case was founded upon tort and not upon contract, although the tort occurred as a result of a contract to carry him as a passenger. So therefore, that case was it was founded upon tort, not on contract. Although the tort occurred as a result of the contract to carry him as a passenger, so they're supposed to take it up under contract and not under tort. Do you understand? It was a breach of a contract and not a tort. We also have the case of Jackson versus Mayfair Window Cleaning Co. Limited. The plaintiff house owner contracted the defendant's company to clean his house. In the course of cleaning a chandelier, it fell from the ceiling and was damaged. In an action for negligence for its damage, the court held that the company had failed to exercise reasonable care in cleaning of the chandelier and gave judgment in favor of the plaintiff. The cause of action was not the failure of the company to perform the contract to clean the house, but it arose out of the breach of duty to exercise reasonable care to keep the plaintiff's properties safe. The plaintiff's claim was founded on tort and not on contract. So this was a breach, this was tort. This was not a breach of a contract because they did exercise their contract to clean the house, but they didn't do it with reasonable care. So it was a breach of a duty imposed by law and not a breach of their contract. Okay. See also the case of Quo Vadis Hotel Limited versus Nigeria Marine Services Limited. Okay, let's compare torts with crime. In criminal law protects the interests of the public by punishing an offender who is found guilty of a crime, either by imprisonment or fine, while law of torts protects the interest of an individual by remedying the simple wrongs done to an individual by paying damages or granting of injunction or by an act of specific performance. Criminal law is basically the state punishing an offender, while tort is the individual himself instituting a civil action to get remedy or compensation. Criminal law is primarily enforced by the state at public expense, just like we said earlier. Criminal law is enforced by the state. Law of tort is enforced at private expense by an aggrieved party. In tort, it is the party himself or herself who has been affected who initiates or institutes the civil action. Criminal law is to convict a crime is obtained by a criminal prosecution which is instituted by the state. A tort, on the other hand, is purely a civil wrong which gives rise to civil proceedings. Torts, criminal law, obviously, it's criminal prosecution that would be followed, while in torts is a civil wrong, so civil procedure would be followed. A victim cannot waive the prosecution of a crime because once prosecution of the matter has commenced in court, only the state can grant pardon. That is under criminal law. So you cannot say, if murder is committed, you cannot say you don't want to convict, you don't want to take it up because you're forgiving the person. No, that was an offense against the state. So once the process has been started, it cannot be stopped because it is now the state against that person. While in tort, a plaintiff can waive his civil rights. You can decide not to take it up anymore and just let the matter go. Another one that I did not list here is criminal law has been codified in the form of the criminal code in the south and penal code in the north. Basically, that's self-explanatory. Criminal law has been codified in form of criminal code in the south and penal code in the north, while law of torts is a creation of judicial precedents modified by statutes. Hope we all know what judicial precedents are. Case law, laws that are gotten from cases. So yeah. Comparing tort and trust, they are both similar in the sense that they are both civil laws. However, the major difference between them is that um, tort arose and developed from common law, while trust grew from the doctrine of equity. I'm assuming we know the history of common law and equity. Common law was the law that was common to the people of England and Wales, while equity came in to reduce the harshness of common law because common law was too direct, too strict, too harsh. Equity came in to just, reduce the harshness. So while the remedies for torts are mainly based on law, the remedies for trust were originally equitable and discretionary. But now there are many legal remedies or statutory remedies under trust. So yeah. Finally, torts, crime, contract, and trust are not exclusive, meaning that an offense, a single conduct, a single act can give rise to liability in all these areas. Like it can fall under tort, crime, contract, and trust at the same time. So it's not exclusive, it's not just one at a time, it can fall under all. So but where a single wrongful act gives rise to a right of claim in several areas of law, it is advisable to bring the action in that one or more areas of law where it will yield the desired remedy. So even if the act or conduct falls under all these areas of law, you know the remedy that you are going for. So before you institute that action, you should think about the one that will most likely give the desired remedy you're seeking. Okay? Thank you for your time. Do hope to see you here again, back here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notification. Thank you for joining us right here on LSA Academy. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye.